role, and for Americans of all ages and all walks of life. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of a heritage that has shaped our village. And whereas the Lake Bluff Historic Preservation Commission and the Lake Bluff History Museum both help our village protect and preserve the beauty of our landscapes and architecture, our neighborhood character, and our civic pride in our past accomplishments. Now, therefore, I, Régis Charlot, Village President of the Village of Lake Bluff, Illinois, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2026 as National Preservation Month in the Village of Lake Bluff and call upon the people of Lake Bluff to join their fellow citizens across the United States in recognizing these special observations by visiting the Lake Bluff History Museum. Thank you. Our second proclamation tonight is a proclamation declaring May 2026 Mental Health Awareness Month. Whereas the Village of Lake Bluff has recognized healthy communities as a priority, and whereas there is a proven connection between mental health and physical health, and whereas health promotion and service integration are reflected in combining mental health and substance abuse service strategies, and whereas mental illness and substance use disorders affect almost every family in America, and whereas people with mental illnesses and substance use disorders recover if given the necessary services and supports in their community, and whereas people with mental illnesses and substance use disorders make important contributions to our families and our communities, and whereas only 1 out of 2 people with a serious form of mental illness or substance use disorder seeks treatment for his or her behavioral health condition. And whereas the average delay between the onset of mental health symptoms and treatment is 11 years. And whereas stigma and fear of discrimination keep many who would benefit from mental health and substance use disorder services from seeking help. And whereas research shows that the most effective way to reduce stigma is through personal contact with someone with a behavioral health condition. And whereas both mental health and physical health are critical to the well-being of our families, communities, schools, and businesses. And whereas the greater public awareness about mental illnesses and substance use disorders can change negative attitudes and behaviors toward people with these conditions. So now, therefore, I, Régis Charlot, Village President of the Village of Lake Bluff, Illinois, do hereby proclaim May 2026 Mental Health Awareness Month in the Village of Lake Bluff and call upon the people of Lake Bluff to wholeheartedly recognize the importance of mental health to our village and nation. So thank you for that. Next, we also have a proclamation designating the May 2026 Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis Awareness Month. Whereas amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease, is a neurodegenerative disease that robs people of their ability to walk, talk, eat, and breathe. And some persons living with ALS can also develop frontotemporal lobe dementia. And whereas ALS causes nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord to die, leading to paralysis and death, usually from respiratory failure. And whereas ALS is fatal and there is no cure. Think about that one. Whereas estimates vary and the disorder is often misdiagnosed or takes months to years to be diagnosed, since it is often a a diagnosis by exclusion. And whereas at any time there are 6,000 Americans living with ALS, and whereas the symptom of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis can include gait and balance difficulties, speech and swallowing difficulties, muscle atrophy and stiffness, muscle spasms and fasciculations, paralysis, respiratory challenges, and a variety of other symptoms that can have a severe impact on an individual's quality of life and life expectancy. And whereas ALS is typically rapid in its progression, with most persons with ALS surviving only 2 to 5 years from the date of a diagnosis. And whereas amyotrophic lateral sclerosis is 90% sporadic, with resulting from no family history, with 10% connecting to a single hereditary gene. And whereas there are thousands of family caregivers, friends, and loved ones whose lives are greatly affected by ALS. And whereas additional research, support services, and educations are needed to maintain quality of life for those affected by the disease, reduce delays to diagnosis and access to proper care, lead to better treatments, and find cures for ALS. And whereas the establishment of a month of May 2026 as Amyotrophic Lateral Sclerosis Awareness Month will benefit patients, families, healthcare professionals, and communities across the country and further bolster awareness of the disease. Now, therefore, I, Régis Charlot, Village President of the Village of Lake Bluff, Illinois, do hereby proclaim May 2026 Amyotrophic Lateral Sclerosis Awareness Month in the Village of Lake Bluff, support research to find better treatments and cure for ALS, and commend the researchers, volunteers, organizations, families, and individuals across the country who are working to improve the lives of people living with ALS. And I lost a couple of friends to that, and this is very, 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 very sad. Our third proclamation tonight is declaring May 2026 as National Bike Month, and the village of May and the week of May 11 to 17, 2026, Bike to Work Week in the village of Lake Bluff. Whereas, for more than a century, the bicycle has been a utilitarian, economical, environmentally sound and effective means of personal transportation, recreation, and fitness. And whereas the education of bicyclists and motorists as to the proper and safe operations of bicycles is important to ensure the safety and comfort of all users. And whereas Illinois' Robert McLaury Trail and the North Shore Bike Path attract thousands of bicyclists each year from around the greater Chicagoland area, providing economic, health, and scenic benefits to the citizens of Illinois and Lake Bluff. And whereas creating bicycle-friendly communities has been shown to improve citizen health, well-being, and quality of life, to boost community spirit, to improve traffic safety, and to reduce pollution and congestion. And whereas the Village of Lake Bluff, Illinois, recognizes the use of bicycles as a viable mode of transportation, endeavors to promote safe and responsible bicycling, and is committed to incorporating the development of bicycle facilities in the vision for Lake Bluff. And whereas the League of American Bicyclists, bicycle clubs, schools, parks, and recreation departments, police departments, hospitals, companies, and civic groups through the nation will be promoting bicycling as a leisure activity as well as an environmentally friendly alternative to the automobile during the month of May 2026. Now, therefore, I, Régis Charlot, Village President of the Village of Lake Bluff, Illinois, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2026 National Bike Month and Bike Safety Month in the Village of Lake Bluff, and the week of May 11 to 17, 2026 as Bike to Work Week in the Village of Lake Bluff, and call upon the people of Lake Bluff to share the road safely with bicyclists and ride their bicycle to work, to the store, to the park, around their neighbors, and with friends and family to promote the personal and societal benefits achieved from bicycling. Thank you. And last, declaring May 9th, 2026 World Migratory Bird Day. Whereas migratory birds are some of the most beautiful and easily observed wildlife that share our community. And whereas Lake Bluff is part of an important migratory bird route on the Lake Michigan corridor, and whereas many citizens recognize and welcome migratory songbirds and aquatic birds as symbolic harbingers of spring, and whereas these migrant species also play an important economic role in our village, controlling insect pests and attracting birders to visit from outside of our community. And whereas migratory birds and their habitats are declining through the America, facing a growing number of threats on their migration routes and in both their summer and winter homes. And whereas public awareness and concerns are crucial components of migratory bird conversation. And whereas citizens enthusiastic about birds, informed about the threats they face, and empowered to help address those threats can directly contribute to maintaining healthy bird populations. And whereas since 1993, World Migratory Bird Day, formerly known as the International Migratory Bird Day, has become a primary vehicle for focusing public attention to the nearly 350 species that travel from wintering in South and Central America, Mexico, the Caribbean, and the southern United States, to nesting habitats in our community and through North America. And whereas light pollution attracts and disorients nocturnally migrating birds, making them more likely to land in areas where they are more vulnerable to collisions and other dangers. Individuals, communities, and government, whereas individual communities and governments are encouraged to dim the lights at night. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Régis Charlot, Village President of the Village of Lake Bluff, Illinois, proclaims May 9, 2026 as World Migratory Bird Day and urge all citizens to celebrate observance and to support efforts to protect and conserve migratory bird and their habitat in our village and the world at large. Thank you. So moving on to item 4, the consideration of the minutes of the April 13, 2026 Village Board meeting. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any changes and mentions to staff? No? It is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you very much. Next is our non-agenda items and visitors. The Village President and Board of Trustees allocates 15 minutes for those individuals who would like the opportunity to address the Village Board of Trustees on any matter not listed on the agenda. Each person addressing the Village Board of Trustees is asked to limit their comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. And the Village Board very much values public comments, and to the extent your public comment is a question that requires further investigation, Village staff will follow up with you outside of a meeting. Time for non-agenda public comments is not intended as to be a question and answer session or for board deliberations, but the board may, at its discretion, choose to answer questions or discuss non-agenda items. We appreciate your understanding and look forward to your comments. And I do not see anybody willing to make a comment tonight. Do we have anybody online?
Anyone participating in the village's Zoom meeting tonight wants to be heard on items not on tonight's agenda, now is the time to raise your hand to be recognized. No, sir.
Thank you. So moving forward, and where we set the order of a meeting, the village president and board of trustees will entertain requests from anyone present on the order of business to be conducted during this meeting. Do we have any requests?
Yes, 19 and 8A. And then item 23.
Nineteen, 8A, and 23.
And then the last one, I'm sorry, would be 18.
18. So 19, 8A, 23, and 18.
Yes, sir.
With no objection to on the board, we would proceed to these items. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving on to item 19. Item 19 is an ordinance granting a variation for the side yard setback related to the construction of an accessory structure at 551 East Prospect Avenue. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
Motion to approve. Second.
Thank you. And that would be, for many years, the properties at 551 and 545 East Prospect shared a detached garage that straddled the property line. That garage was torn down last year because it was deteriorating. The neighbors at 545 East Prospect Avenue built a new garage at the back of their lot, accessed from the alley through an easement across the back of the 551 East Prospect property. The owners of a 551 East Prospect, Laura Elliott and David Riddle, and their architect, Victor Liu, are proposing to build a carport in the side yard, detached from the house, close to a side entry door to the house, and in nearly the same location as where the former garage used to be. Their neighbors at 545 East Prospect have provided the letter of support in attachment 5. Section 10-5-90 of the zoning code requires a 10-foot side yard setback for an accessory structure when it is in the front 80 feet of a lot. This is larger than the regular side yard requirement for the principal structure which is 10% of a lot line, and that is 5 feet in this case. On April 15, the PCCBA conducted a public hearing and voted 7-0 to recommend approval of a draft ordinance. Question on the board to Drew and Tim. I do not see questions. It is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries. So congratulations to the owners at 551 East Prospect. First reading.
So 2 weeks for final.
Next item is 8A. And 8A is our administrator's report.
Tonight is an informational report from one of the service providers that the village shares with the city of Lake Powell. Tricia Swall is here, and she is going to give that update to the village board regarding what's happening at Dickinson Hall. So if you'll give me 1 minute, I will share her presentation, and we can get started. Tricia, if you want to come up. Floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Tricia. I'm the manager at Dickinson Hall, which is the Lake Forest Lake Bluff Senior Center. And it's a community for our seniors. And I'm here tonight. Thank you for having me. to just share with you some of the things that we do there. I don't know the last time we've really been here to talk about it, so I think it's a great opportunity for us to get out there and let everybody know what we do over there with both the Lake Forest and Lake Bluff seniors. So we are 50 and older, so I know some people that are 50-ish and maybe don't think that they belong there, and I really do appreciate that. But we, you know, our average age is about 78, so it's not, we totally understand that there are people that still work. We do have a few younger people that come in that are no longer working, so it is kind of nice to have that opening. We have a staff of 5. We have a transportation coordinator, which is our also administrative assistant. We have a senior advocate, which I think is one of the biggest things that I like people to hear about. She is there to help individuals in the community, whether they're members or not, try to find the assistance that they need, the resources that they need to be able to live in homes and not have to move out of their homes, because a lot of them like to continue living in their homes. We have a program supervisor and a program assistant who are there to create the programs that we offer, the trips, the lectures, the parties, games, anything we can think of, we try to put in there. We have quite a dynamic team, and everybody who comes in there is welcome, so.
Trying to advance, sorry. Not sure why it's not advancing. Here we go.
Okay. So as you can see, this is a snapshot of our fiscal year, which is ending in a week. We have over 1,000 members, and we have over 1,500 programs and classes throughout the year, 1,300 rides throughout the Lake Forest, Lake Bluff area, and about 650 individuals that have received support from our social services program, which is our senior advocate, as I spoke of earlier. So as you can see, we have a very wide variety of what we do there. This is just a snapshot of what our membership has grown over the years. This is being one of our biggest growth years since the pandemic. As you can see in FY21, we ended with 743, and we're anticipating next year to reach over 1,100 members. So members include Lake Forest, Lake Bluff. We also allow for non-residents to become members. They pay a slightly higher fee. But we do have a lot of them that enjoy coming to our programs as we stand.
Tricia, do you know the proportion of Lake Bluffers?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a sense for the proportion of Lake Bluffers in those 1,072 members?
So Lake Bluff is about 22% of our membership.
Okay.
And then Lake Forest is probably about, I would say, 68. And we'll go, the rest of them are, we have a very small amount that come from outside.
Okay, so 10% is out from outside.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is just a breakdown of what we do. As I mentioned before, we have trips and classes and lectures, events. We usually have one large party a month. Our summer events include our outside evening programs, the Friday Night Live, which we have appetizers and beer and wine on our patio, and then we move inside and they have dinner, and we usually have a large band that plays and have some pretty lively dancing that goes on, so that's really fun. We almost always have games going on, whether it's poker or bridge or canasta. Mahjong is our new and exciting, as you've probably seen in several magazines and newspaper ads. We do have a very lovely fitness group. We have a instructor that comes in and she does chair yoga. She does regular yoga. They do Zumba. We just started a new line dancing class, which has taken off nicely. And we also have massage therapy and podiatry. Transportation is huge for us. We have a van that is a wheelchair accessible van. We give any senior in Lake Forest, Lake Bluff, they do not have to belong to the senior center, but anybody who is no longer driving has the ability to utilize our services to go within the Lake Forest, Lake Bluff area. We also have a slew of volunteers that will help us get individuals to medical appointments outside of the area. So sometimes they need to go to Highland Park Hospital or Condell. We have quite a few doctor's visits that are in the Vernon Hills area that we can get a volunteer to help get those individuals to their. We also only have our transportation is Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4. And sometimes somebody needs to be picked up after hours or before. They need to get to a doctor's appointment or a hospital appointment before our opening hours, and that's when we can utilize our volunteers and we can set them up so they can get somebody to where they need to go. So those mostly go around medical appointments when we need to get a volunteer involved. Social services, this is, as I was speaking, our senior advocate. She's there for resources. Advocacy, she works on open enrollment for Medicare or people that are newly coming on to Medicare. Transportation, she helps with our volunteers for transportation. And we also have a lending closet that we utilize that anybody within the Lake Forest, Lake Bluff area, doesn't matter how old, can come in and utilize our, we have walkers and wheelchairs, and we just had a woman come in from Lake Forest that had a 5-year-old son that had a broken leg and needed a wheelchair that came up, so she had to bring, we had to figure out which chair was gonna fit her 5-year-old son because they usually don't. So we do, and that is for anybody that needs any kind of medical lending equipment. Why we matter, this is, everything that's up there. I mean, getting the word out that we're around has really been a challenge over the years. People come into our facility, which I'm not sure everybody knows where we're at. We're located on the south side of Lake Forest, just on the other side of Heller Nature Center. And so we're there for the well-being of the seniors within Lake Forest and Lake Bluff. We are there to support, to give them a support system, to improve physical health, and really anything that they come to see us for is really about them and utilizing the services that they need. And sometimes when I talk about Dickinson Hall and individuals don't quite understand because maybe you're not old enough or you don't have parents that are living in this area, but I think one of the biggest things I always like to say is if you're not looking at that area as part of what you need to know about right now, sometimes we find that next door neighbors, individuals at church, somebody you might see in a grocery store, they're people that might need services that don't know that they can get the services. So it's really important for me and my team to make sure that everybody understands that it's not necessarily that we're there to do all the fun things that we do, but it's really about taking care of the seniors within the Lake Forest and Lake Bluff area and making sure that they have what they need, because not everybody does. We are working with several individuals who are barely making it on their Social Security, and they are in need of a lot of things that can be helpful to have just somebody listen and somebody understand that there is more that they need than what they're getting. And sometimes going through like the county or the state is a little trickier to navigate. Medicare is very tricky to navigate. So just knowing that they have somebody that they can rely on to come to and talk to about different avenues of what their life is going through right now. So I encourage all of you to just kind of keep an eye on what that is. And if you have anybody that needs that information, send them our way. And now I'm just gonna, I think this is kind of what we talked about before, just some of the things that happen. Our meals and parties, our special events, cards, our trips. I didn't really get a chance. We do take a lot of trips. We have our own bus. And so we utilize our bus to go to tours and museums and theaters, ethnic restaurants. We have a Gourmet Trotters that go once a month to an ethnic restaurant down usually towards the city. And then our support services again, and we have lots of healthy lectures. We have a memory cafe if anybody is in need of any kind of respite for bringing in individuals to our memory cafe. So those are some of our support services. And this is just some of our, that we partner with to do presentations for our members that we just, MIC is one of our partners that comes in and does concerts. But most of the other ones are just our partners that help us get through and offer some of the services that we have. This is our funding and our support. As you can see, we have a revenue of about $788. We get about 39% of that support is from the city of Lake Forest and 12% from the village of Lake Bluff. And that is typically based on membership. How much of our members are from Lake Forest or Lake Bluff. But a majority of our revenues otherwise come from our foundation. We have a private foundation that funds our senior advocates' salary and benefits, and also funds some of our programming and building needs. And then we have a amount that comes through our dues and fees. And lastly, we do have sponsorships throughout the area that mostly cover senior housing, senior health care, senior, anything senior-wise that will come and sponsor events for us. So that's where most of our revenue comes from. And then these are just some of the things that we're working on, just looking ahead and what we're trying to work for. I will say that we do have and I should have brought some of the flyers with. We will be on June 13th. We will be having a Raising Senior Voices town hall meeting at Dickinson Hall, which we're encouraging individuals to attend, just to kind of talk through some of the unmet needs of seniors, some of the things that we're looking for. And this is going to help direct both our commission and our foundation as to where funds need to be utilized to help the seniors within the community moving forward. So I will make sure that we get some of those flyers over here. I don't know if Andrea brought some over. So we'll get some of those flyers over here to encourage that. And I think these are just some testimonials of some people that have we've helped in the past. We have an outcry of just people that are just very gracious and very wonderful people that attend, and they can't be happier. So I think we just goes on about what we do. I mean, we're really there to support the Lake Forest and Lake Bluff seniors and make their lives as easy as we can.
I've always been curious about the building. How long have you been in the building, and was it donated? Is it owned by the organization?
Sure. So it is owned by the city of Lake Forest. Mm-hmm. We utilize it's been around since the early 1930s. Mm-hmm. And we've been in it since 2001. We finally opened up. They did about a $2.3 million renovation to it to make it ADA compliant and move the seniors in there. So we've been in there for 25 years, and it's working.
It's beautiful.
It is a beautiful building, definitely.
Tricia, thank you. One thing I'd like to say is, 2 slides ago, those testimonial were describing for residents being a lifeline, being an important part of being part of the community, to be able to go to the grocery store, to see doctors. One thing I'd like to say is my mom did that work for 50 years in a community where we had only 200 people who were 10 miles away from a grocery store. And she created something similar to that, but in a very tiny room. And that was a lifeline. And so what you're doing is incredibly important, because people that otherwise would be no longer part of a community are still part of a vibrant community. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I do think that our transportation program is outstanding, so it is very nice.
But the fact that people can come and play cards, be together and go home happy, there's nothing that can beat that.
Yep,
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Next item is item 23, and that is a resolution approving a professional engineering services agreement with Christopher B. Burke Engineering Limited for the West Scranton Avenue Drainage Phase 2 Design Engineering. Can I please have a motion for this item?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Thank you. As the first construction phase of the West Scranton Avenue Drainage Improvement Project is nearing completion, ahead of schedule and slightly below budget, village staff has been working to plan the future phases of construction. The village consultant, Christopher B. Burke Engineering, is near completion of a Phase 1 preliminary engineering of the remaining segments of a project and is prepared to start Phase 2 design engineering. Christopher Burke Engineering submitted to the village a proposal for a fee of $353,820 for the Phase 2 design engineering for the balance of the project. The Phase 2 design engineering work would be completed at the end of 2026 in preparation for a village to bid out construction of a piece of a project on East North Avenue between Moffett Road and Sheridan Road for construction in the summer and fall of 2027. The village proposed fiscal year 2027 includes adequate funding for the engineering work in fiscal year 2027, and the tentative fiscal year 2028 budget includes $12 million for construction of these phase. While the engineering work is ongoing, village staff continues to look for outside funding sources to reduce the amount of village funding required for the project. Our village engineer and the village administrators will recommend approval of this agreement. Questions on the board?
No questions.
I think we have talked a lot about this project, and I'm very happy with moving forward with the design phase 2.
Yeah, and the note about moving quickly, being ahead of schedule and under budget, so I'll say that again. The second part, I mean, drastically ahead of schedule, and to the point where, like, we're having to accelerate this, because they originally had through October.
Right.
Then they moved it up to before the 4th, and now we're just, Jeff, we're a few weeks away,
That's great.
so.
And unfortunately, that has put fire on finding the remnant of the funding.
Yeah, well, and which is good news, and I've been in conversations with Senator Morrison's office about that, and having meetings, and IDOT has requested a letter for the formal agreement conversation, so that's in the works right now.
I mean, I think you guys need to understand that one, we have been requesting money, and we have been doing all the steps for the past 2 years to get
Everything they've asked for.
for the last $7 million for this project, and we have been providing the documentation, and we removed an other request for a letter to say, okay, what are you asking for? So it's a little bit challenging, but
We're getting closer.
we're getting there. So that's where we are. Any questions on the board to Drew? It is a roll call vote. Clerk?
Trustee El Shamaz?
Aye.
Trustee Hatch?
Aye.
Trustee Renner?
Aye.
Trustee Ryder?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Next item is item 18. Item 18 is an ordinance approving a special use permit for a Land Rover authorized service center at 150 Skokie Highway. Can I please have a motion for this ordinance?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. And that would be specifically for the Fields Auto Group operating under the corporate name of Field Alpha LLC is proposing to purchase the former Jaguar dealership building at 150 Skokie Highway to use as a Land Rover authorized service center. They're also purchasing the Land Rover franchise from Knows and locating the new Land Rover sales in Glenview. They may have a limited number of used vehicles sales at the 150 Skokie Highway location. The zoning use table lists both vehicle service and repair centers and used automobile dealerships as permitted in the AP1 district and as a special use requiring the special use permit in the L1 and L2 districts. The property at 150 Highway is zoned L1. When the Jaguar dealership was built in 1998, it received a used variation. The practice of granting used variations has been discontinued on the advice of our Corporation Council and has been replaced with special use permits. The applicant is not proposing any physical changes to the site other than signage, which will go out to the Architectural Board of Review for approval. The site has driveways with direct access to Skokie Highway and to Sherwood Terrace. Similar use approved in the past in the L1 district include Axel's Automotives at 918 Sherwood Drive, which is a repair shop that has been in business at that location since 2012, and the Chevy, Ferrari, and Jaguar dealerships, which all have or had or have a service component. On April 15, the PCZBA conducted a public hearing and voted 7-0 to recommend approval of a draft ordinance with the following conditions. Number one, the site plan cannot be modified to allow cut-through traffic from Route 41 to Sherwood Terrace. Number two, car carriers cannot unload on Route 41 shoulders or right-of-way. Number three, revise Section 6 of the ordinance so transferability is permitted consistent with our most recent code amendments. And number four, allow new car sales in addition to used car sales and service. The attached ordinance has been revised to reflect these conditions. And the Field Auto Group is requesting a waiver of second reading because final approval of this ordinance is a contingency to the purchase of a property and the Land Rover franchise. And they would like to close on those transactions on May 1st and open the service center for business on May 4th.
So the petitioner, Sherman Polinsky, is here. She's general counsel for the Fields Group and also very involved in operations. And forgive me, sir.
Rocky Ellie, Vice President of Operations for the group.
Thank you. So if there are any questions of the applicant, they're here.
ZBA was unanimous.
That's correct. I have one question for you.
Sure.
What will happen to people, the mechanics, the people doing service, the staff that is currently?
We're hiring all of them.
Okay.
So all of the service staff have been offered employment with Fields at the new service center, and the sales staff have been offered employment at our Jaguar Land Rover Northfield facility.
Got it. Thank you. Sound. Any more questions to?
Yeah, and obviously the request for waiver of second reading is this is a pretty quick transaction and you guys will not be meeting within that time frame.
Okay.
And we don't anticipate any concerns being raised by others.
No.
No,
given
no
it's a-
concerns were raised at the PCZBA,
That is
for
correct.
example, and we've heard nothing from the public regarding concerns? Okay.
All right, so it's a first vote, and this is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries. So this is our first vote. Could I please have a motion to waive second reading?
Motion to waive second reading.
Seconded?
Seconded. And so I need a motion for the second reading, correct? Or,
Motion, you need a second.
That's gotten, she's got that. Trustee Ryder.
First and second?
so now I need a motion for the second reading?
No, you just need a roll call.
Okay, it's a roll call. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Hatch.
Aye.
Trustee Renner.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee El-Shammaz.
Aye.
And the motion carries. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Yep.
yes, we appreciate you. Thanks.
Thank you for doing business in our community.
Look forward to it, thank you.
Okay, and so we are now resuming the normal order of meetings after this item, and that would be 7A. And that would be for our warrants report for April 14 to April 27, 2026. Is there a motion to approve this warrants report?
So moved.
Did I have a second? Thank you. Thank you, Kat. And as a summary, we have expenditures of village funds for payment of invoices in the amount of $773,025 for April 14 to April 27. Again, for a total of $773,025. Are there any questions to Bettina on this warrants report? I had the chance to look at the report, the ledger, and I do not have any questions. It is a roll call. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Renner.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee El-Shammaz.
Aye.
And Trustee Hatch.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Next is our March 2026 finance report. Bettina, can you please take that?
Sure. So included in the packet was the March 26 finance report. Some highlights from that report include sales tax revenue for March fiscal year 26 totaling $474, which represents a 5.1% increase over the prior year. Year-to-date performance is up 4.5%, or $182,540, reflecting some steady growth. General fund revenues have reached $14,020,883, and year-to-date, those are exceeding fiscal year 25 by $435,240, or 3.2%. And year-to-date fiscal year expenditures total $12,390,363, which is $225,702 higher than the same period last year. Expenditures continue to track in line with the budgeted operational expectations.
Thank you. Questions to Bettina? No. It is a voice vote.
Need a motion to accept the report.
Do I? Okay. Can I please have a motion for this item?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Thank you. It's a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Thank you very much, Bettina. Next would be item 9. Item 9 is a, it is village, sorry, I'm trying to follow two things at the same time, it's not working. Next is our village attorney's report.
I have the report.
All that. And followed by my own report, and that's why my numbering is not working here. And my report would be appointments to village advisory boards and commissions. Do I need a motion for that?
Sure do.
I do. Ahead or?
That is up to you, sir.
Okay. So one thing I would like to say before I would be asking for a motion is to say that, to me, it's a topic that is worth highlighting, where our village boards and advisory boards are made up entirely of volunteers. No one receives a salary, a stipend, a fee, or any form of compensation. Every member serves simply out of dedication to this community. And I think that we have about, how many volunteers? 70, 80?
Yeah.
Somewhere there, volunteers. And that will be important in a second. It is in the truest sense the embodiment of the idea. Be the change you want to see in the world, and I would say for the community we all love. Be the change you want to see in the world. All but one member has chosen to renew their service. Our friends and fellow board members, Tim Morris, will be relocating in the coming months, and so we want to take a moment to thank him for his dedicated service on the Police Pension Board. Tim, you will be missed. We also want to recognize Bob Hunter, our longest-serving member, but will continue being the chair of the ABR, with a remarkable 46 years of service since August 1979. Bob, along with the Architecture Review Board as a whole, deserves enormous credit for the sense of cohesion and character our community enjoys today. It is important. And Bob is awesome anyway, so it's great. So could I please have a motion for the appointments to village advisory boards?
Motion
Thank you.
approve.
Second.
Thank you. And so the village president is required by the municipal code to reappoint members to the village's various advisory board and commissions, subject to the consent of the board of trustees. The following village residents are willing to continue their voluntary service to their community and recommended for reappointments by Village President Charlot as indicated below. For the ABR, Robert Hunter and Scott Stradiff. For the Historic Preservation Commission for a 4-year term, Lois Nicole and John Tanner. For the Police Pension Board for a 3-year term, around Gauvin. For Croya, Christine Carr, and that would be actually a term that is a longer term, but Mayor Tack and I discussed this, and we warmly recommended her to continue for another term. She's amazing. And it was actually asked by Croya, by the way. And for the Senior Resource Commission for a 2-year term, Mark DeWart and Susan Kokenda. Question on the board. It's a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you very much. Next would be our consent agenda. And the consent agenda tonight is item 11, acceptance of a correspondence. All correspondence was delivered to the village boards in the informational reports on April 17 and April 24, 2026. Item 12, a second reading of an ordinance amending the second year of a biennial budget of the village of Lake Bluff for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2025 and ending April 30, 2026. Item 13, a second reading of an ordinance vacating a portion of a public right-of-way at East Sheridan Place Alley. Item 14, a second reading of an ordinance amending Title I of a municipal code of the village of Lake Bluff regarding the comprehensive fee schedule. And last, item 15, a resolution approving the village of Lake Bluff 2026-2027 official pay plan. Is there a request to remove any of these items from the consent agenda? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on any of these items? It's a roll call. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee El-Shimaz.
Aye.
Trustee Hatch. Trustee Renner.
Aye. Thank you. Next is item 16, a continuation of a public hearing concerning the Village of Lake Bluff proposed fiscal year 2027 to 2028 biennial budget. As required by law, the village must hold a public hearing on the fiscal year 2027 to 2028 tentative biennial budget, after which the fiscal plan may be revised and passed without any further inspection, notice, or hearing. Consistent with past practice, first reading of a budget ordinance will follow this public hearing, with second reading and adoption of a budget anticipated at the April 2027 Village Board meeting, that is today. Notice of this hearing was published in the Lake County News Sun on April 6, 2026, and again, our finance director will present a summary report of a budget and will be available to respond to questions at the hearing. Public hearing was open on April 13 and is continued to the April 27, 2026 Village Board meeting.
Bettina and I are here. I don't know that you want to see the same presentation again, but if you want to, we're happy to review it. We've received no comments, either in writing or anybody coming to the desk or emails regarding the budget. But we're happy to review anything if there is anything.
Any questions on the board to Bettina for this item? Nope. We did not receive any comments on this budget. So I believe I will need now a motion to close. I can declare it closed, okay. I declare closed this fiscal year 2026, 2027 biennial budget public hearing. Thank you very much. It's confusing. Next, item 17, a second reading of an ordinance adopting the biennial budget for the Village of Lake Bluff proposed fiscal year 2027 to 2028 biennial budget. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved.
Second, Rafi? Okay. The village utilizes a multi-year budget process as it emphasizes long-term planning, budgeting for results, effective program management, and fiscal responsibility. Specifically, the primary objectives of this budget are to, 1, maintain current fund balances at or above village minimum reserve level. 2, control operational costs. 3, continue reinvestment in village infrastructure. And 4, continue to deliver quality and efficient services. Additionally, this budget has been assembled with the intention to allocate resources consistent with the 2026 Village Strategic Plan. The tentative biennial budget for the next 2 years includes $23,587,366 plus $3,916,312 in inter-fund transfers for fiscal year 27 and $32,292,392 plus $4,112,312 in inter-fund transfers for fiscal year 2028. These sums include the Village of Lake Bluff funds and the Lake Bluff Public Library funds. The operating budget, all costs except capital and contingency for the village and the library, is $14.8 million for fiscal year 2027, representing a 1.32% increase when compared to the fiscal year 26 budget, reflecting the net differential between overall expenditure increases and the impact of the expiration of a sales tax incentive agreement in fiscal year 2026. Property taxes and sales taxes continue to be the two largest source of revenue at $5.1 and $5.2 million respectively in fiscal year 2026. Anticipated revenues remain about the same for fiscal year 27 to 2028, with the exception of tentative bond proceeds in fiscal year 28 to fund the unprecedented capital stormwater infrastructure investments. This budget includes a planned fund balance reduction to achieve significant capital objectives, which represents 57% of the fiscal year 2027 budget. On March 30, 2026, the Village Finance Committee reviewed and recommended approval of this tentative biennial budget document. The draft was available for public inspection at the Village Hall, the Public Safety Building, and the library, as well as online at the Village website at lakebluff.org. At the April 13, 2026 regular meeting, the Village Board unanimously voted to approve first reading of this ordinance. Questions on the board to Drew or comments? It is a roll call vote. Clerk, please call the roll.
Am I including Taryn in this?
Yes.
Okay. Trustee El Shmaz?
Aye.
Trustee Fisher?
Aye.
Trustee Hatch?
Aye.
Trustee Renner?
Aye.
And Trustee Ryder?
Aye.
Awesome, thank you so much. Next item is item 20, an ordinance amending Title 3 of the Municipal Code and the Comprehensive Fee Schedule to allow off-premise consumption of liquor. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Specifically, on Friday, June 5, the Lake Bluff Farmers Market will open it for its 33rd season, welcoming residents of Lake Bluff and the North Shore. The 2026 Farmers Market will be held on Friday morning from June 5 through October 9, from 7 a.m. to noon. In addition to a wide variety of vendors, the market will feature live music and children's entertainment, enhancing the overall community experience. This year, the Farmers Market Committee reviewed 53 vendor applications before making its final selections. One applicant of particular interest is Griffin's Cocktails, a Wilmette-based producer of prepared bottled cocktails and mocktails. The Farmers Market would like to include Griffin's as a vendor, contingent upon securing the necessary approvals from the village, including a liquor license. Because this would mark the first time alcoholic beverages are sold at the farmers market, and no existing liquor license classification accommodates this type of vendor, the creation of a new Class AE license is required. This would involve amendments to the village liquor regulations, and comprehensive fee schedule to allow for temporary vendors of this nature.
So what we're considering is a license for sale, but not a license for consumption, or both?
It is for sale for consumption off premises.
So not consumption at the site,
Right.
nor would the sale allow taste testing at the site, or would it?
Let me double check that. I thought we did account for some tasting.
They're very small cups over here. Very small,
Their mocktails is pretty good.
Yeah, nothing would preclude them from doing the mocktail.
right? Yes. I am not particularly concerned one way or another, I just want us to be clear.
This draft does not have a procedure for testing the alcoholic beverages.
That's fine. I prefer that. If there's kids there, I don't want little cups sitting out of alcohol.
That makes sense. So it's sale, not for consumption on site.
That is correct.
Okay, so we're very clear that will not include tasting
Mocktails only.
of alcohol, yes, alcohol-related beverage. Any more comments to Drew?
It's pretty impressive they had 53 applicants.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's pretty common for them to turn away applicants.
I've had vendors approaching us and trying to muscle their way through the village board to influence the farmer's market. There's no influencing the farmer's market. No pushing on that one. It's a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries. Next item is 21. An ordinance amending the intergovernmental agreement establishing the Solid Waste Agency of Lake County, Illinois, also known as SWALCO. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. The Village of Lake Bluff has been a member of the Solid Waste Agency of Lake County, SWALCO, since its formation in 1991, participating in a regional approach to solid waste management. Over time, the governing intergovernmental agreement has been amended to reflect evolving memberships, operational needs, and governance practices. Currently, each member community appoints a director and alternate director to the SWALCO board, with Lake Bluff represented by the village administrator as a director and village engineer as an alternate director. Following a unanimous vote at the April 9, 2026 SWALCO meeting, a four-part amendment is being proposed to streamline operations and better align governance with current practices. Key changes include increased flexibility in appointing alternate directors, restructuring board officer roles to allow non-directors to serve in administrative positions, expanding the executive committee from 9 to 10 members, and updating amendment procedures to require approval by 2/3 of members' community within 90 days. For the amendment to take effect, all member communities, including Lake Bluff, must approve it by ordinance. The attached ordinance would formalize Lake Bluff approval and enable implementation of the proposed governance updates across SWALCO. Any questions to Drew and staff? Nope. It's a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries. Next would be item 22. That is a resolution authorizing the third amendment to the non-exclusive license agreement by and between the Village of Lake Bluff and the Lake Bluff Yacht Club. Can I please have a motion on this resolution?
So moved.
So moved. Oh, sorry, second.
Second?
Sorry.
Okay. Motion by Taryn, second by Brian. The North Shore Water Reclamation District, and SWRD, achieved substantial completion of the overflow basin and related improvements at Sunrise Beach just prior to Memorial Day 2025. As you may recall, the Lake Bluff Yacht Club, LBYC, finalized its design for the replacement of the replacement compounds and received final approval of an amended Rio development plan for boat storage facilities at Sunrise Beach on March 9, 2026. LBYC is currently working with NSWRD to formalize the administration of financial compensation related to restoration of the LBYC compound, along with other administrative matters. As a result, LBYC is unlikely to be in a position to construct the new compound and resume normal operations this summer as originally anticipated. To accommodate both Park District summer programming and LBYC selling activities, LBYC has requested permission to install a temporary compound for the 2026 season, consistent with the arrangement approved in prior years. The attached resolution authorizes a third amendment to the LBYC license agreement to allow for installation of a temporary compound this summer. If LBYC reaches an agreement with NSWRD and obtains approval from the Lake Bluff Park District prior to the conclusion of the LBPD, the Park District Learn to Sell programs, village staff will work with LBYC to proceed with construction of a permanent compound in accordance with the approved plans.
Can I talk about the schedule, because it seems a little unclear? They've got to work out this agreement. When do they expect to be complete with the entire project? Because they're talking about restricting the days that they're going to do this, but when do they expect to be complete with the entire project?
And you're talking about the LBYC
Yeah.
work for their compound work?
Yes,
So,
not the temporary, but
yeah, so as I understand, by the end of last week, I know the LBYC was working with the NSWRD to nail down their license agreement that
Right.
North Shore Water, they're gonna make the yacht club have a very similar license agreement to what the village has in place. And that will also spell out how the funds will flow from the NSWRD to the LBYC. And so my understanding is that the LBYC needs those funds to do their project. So there was, Steve Waters from the NSWRD was trying to figure out the process that the LBYC would have to follow to whether or not the NSWRD board would have to approve the agreement, or could they rely on the form that had been done in the past? And so there was that has not yet been determined. So all that is to say that the LBYC has submitted certain items for a building permit from the village to do the work, but not all the items. We're meeting internally to talk about what else they need to do in terms of to have a complete application. And so I don't have a clear answer as to exactly when they're going to do this, but the Park District has expressed concerns with them doing work on the Monday through Thursday, which they've proposed, because that's exactly when the Learn to Sail program takes place. And it seemed to be too busy, and so all that's being worked out.
I guess, and it may be too late to bring up this option, no construction whatsoever in July and August. People use the beach, they're there 7 days a
Yeah.
week with kids. Trucks coming in and out, contractors tracking across. I'm just putting it out there, I know it.
No, I mean, you could say that tonight, and that can be a condition of this, to have the temporary fencing up for that. We have talked to them. They don't know their complete schedule yet. They have not bid this work, to my knowledge, and so we don't know when they would actually even be ready to start.
Right,
They're trying to maintain the possibility to start as soon as possible.
right.
They're trying to be, and I don't know if they're gonna be ready and satisfy the village, the Park District, and the NSWRD to make anything happen this summer, but they sure would like to. But if the board feels like they would want to not happen, to say you can have a temporary fence to have the Learn to Sail program and for the membership to enjoy the summer through Labor Day, or pick a date, then that's within your purview related to this use.
Okay, because I mean, they could start now, they could keep working, they could do everything up until, middle of June or end of June. But when it really starts to get warm, it would really be nice not to have saws going, jackhammers, concrete trucks showing up while kids are running across the beach. That's just my thought, and they could work up until then, they could pause for 2 months and then continue working through the fall. I don't know what you guys think.
What you're putting on the table is up to June when the weather is so-so, all the way to the end of August, did you say?
Yeah,
No construction equipment for residents to be able to enjoy the beach safely.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
yes.
What do you guys think with Brian's request?
I get the sentiment, Brian. I agree with the sentiment, but I mean, I think we know from some of what they've talked about, there's going to be no concrete trucks because they're not going to be able to pour concrete on anything. There's a big difference to me between the sound of hammering while kids are playing and maybe breaking concrete, which we know is not happening. So I get the sentiment, but I'd like to see them build this thing and be done with it as fast as possible, regardless of if it's a Wednesday in July.
I get it. For someone who's done renovations on his house and had neighbors do renovations on their house, it's gonna be noisy. It's gonna be, And again, there's gonna be contractors pulling up, walking across with lumber on there while kids are running past. And I know, I'm looking at it from a safety standpoint, but also from an enjoyment standpoint. If we take today as April, you got May, June, July, August, September, October, you could probably build in November, right? I'm just talking about 2 months, but again, I'm just bringing it up.
Brian,
for
I agree with
discussion.
the sentiment of it, and I think like no work on Saturdays or Sundays or maybe some hours thing works, but
It's just the kids are off school, they're gonna be there all day long.
you're absolutely right.
There is going to be a difference from what I remember from the last meeting. I think their intent is to build the racks, and those are metal racks. Literally Lego pieces, nothing more to that, with a fencing, and then they will go with the building. I don't know when the building will be built.
Yeah, the fencing doesn't bother me, the racks don't bother me, all that kind of stuff, it's just the construction of the structure.
I mean, what they submitted just to us just in the last few days was a building permit application and plans for their main building, which has a concrete foundation and floor to it there. So they haven't given us a clear schedule or anything, but that is the permit. And they have expressed that they want to nail down the colors with our ABR subcommittee so they can order the materials for that. So it suggests they want to start building that building soon.
I have a question for Drew. Has the village itself gotten involved with the administration of the final compensation between the reclamation district and the yacht club? Have we helped or been involved at all?
I would say yes. President Charlot and I were at the meetings where they were discussing that, they being the NSWRD board, requesting them to financially support the yacht club at the level that we thought was appropriate.
Correct. We went there by agreement, asking for $300,000 that we thought was appropriate. And then the WRD allocated $150,000 for that task, and with conditions that that amount would be disbursed in relations to receipts. So not at once, but really very much in conjunction to the building, making it difficult for LBYC to actually proceed forward.
Thank you.
Okay.
I too understand the sentiment that being expressed. I wonder if we can maintain some level of authority such that we require no heavy equipment during those months, whereas if they were hand building during those months, they could do so, or something somewhat discretionary, or allowing us to say, no, wait, that's beyond what we expected or authorized, if it comes to that. I don't want to unduly, restrict them, but I do appreciate what you're saying about the possibility of the only 2 good months that we really have here being interrupted.
I mean, we have multiple options on the table. We can say no construction, no noise, or no construction between June and September, let's say. Let's put those dates down. Or we could say no construction on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for example, and they would be able to do construction during the first few days of the week. So we could actually modulate that. What do you guys think? I mean, because what you're going to have on the beach, and I've been on the beach with those selling programs, either because my son was actually the instructor last year. There's nobody on the beach during the week, and so you have a learn to sell program at 8 a.m., 9 a.m., and that goes until 1 p.m. And there are very few people afterwards. And that is Monday to Thursday. On Friday, you have activity resuming. So maybe we could put a limit to say, no, we need to have residents enjoying the beach on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, for example. Or we can say no construction to June and September. Labor Day.
I'll go with whatever the committee says. I'm just worried. Again, if you've ever been on a construction site, which I know you have, and you've got contractors coming from the parking lot, carrying heavy materials across the beach, while little 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds are running to mom, I just worry about, and besides just trying to sit and enjoy your Coke and sit on the beach and you're hearing nail guns going. So I know it's gotta be done, I'm just bringing
Brian.
it up as a concern.
Can I ask you, would you even propose going as far as shutting down the South Beach while construction is happening?
From a safety standpoint, I'd rather do that, but I know that they noted that they didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
But yes, I would feel it would be safer for children not to be, because there's no, unless they build a tunnel or some sort of, structure from the parking lot through to bring materials and saws and, stuff in, there's no way to isolate people carrying materials and back and forth. There's gonna be, it's like building a little house.
Yeah.
So
You're
when-
right about the material, sorry. Go ahead.
So, okay, I will follow you.
I was just gonna say, Brian, I'm thinking more about moving material and lumber and regardless of power tool operation.
Right, yeah.
It's a tight squeeze to
Yeah, to
move
go around
through
that.
there for kids and families and wagons and.
Yeah,
So one thing we can do is, they wanna proceed with operations, okay, that is clear. I know that they have it as an intent because I read that. And I'm a seller, but I'm not involved in any of their decisions. I know that they want to install racks. So the racks will be for different equipment. So one thing we could say is, please install the temporary fencing. Please install the racks because those are actually metal pieces that can be installed with just a wrench. And for anything that involves contractors, wait until Labor Day right at the day.
construction of the permanent structure.
Have they talked at all about safety concerns or safety precautions that they plan on taking? Like, why are we carrying the burden of this discussion on our own?
When we were having the conversation, Taylor Overman and I last week, like within an hour, I was on the phone with Executive Director John Beeler at the Park District for a different reason. I said, "Oh, have you guys talked about this?" And he said, "Well, we've had a short conversation between Taylor and I, but I haven't brought it to any of the Park District committees to talk about, conflicts with the programs and services yet." But he knew what Taylor was requesting. But that could be an outcome as well as for the three of us to figure out a schedule that works, that would try to at least achieve the highest levels of safety that are possible during the, next few months. But I know they've submitted a building permit. I know they have, at least they've expressed the desire to get things worked out with NSWRD before they start for the money flowing, and that could take a month. It's just hard to know whether this is gonna even become an actual issue because they just may not be ready to go.
Yeah. Yep.
I understand that. Graham, you have a question?
Yeah, I guess I have a kind of hard time not saying anything, so I appreciate it very much, President Trello. I guess the question I would just ask to consider is, best case scenario, when would they actually finish this project? Working through the summer, July and August, putting everyone at risk. If their best case scenario is finishing in September, what's the difference between finishing in September and November?
Yeah, it's a good point. That's a very good point.
We should let him speak more.
See a future.
Yeah, that's kind of why I asked for a schedule. There isn't one, and I know part of it's the negotiation with the sanitary district or the waste district side.
That's a good point.
Can we propose no construction during the months of July and August, except for hand building without mechanical equipment or such that they could use their wrenches within the fence?
Yeah, there's the convenience issue, which is less of an issue from a safety, like how much noises are gonna be while you're trying to enjoy the beach. The other thing is just contractors going back and forth around the corner. And like you said, I'd rather, I don't know, maybe we leave this up to village staff to negotiate something, but I know you're trying to amend an ordinance, but if there was ever a concern like, well, we gotta bring a lot of lumber in today, I'd shut the whole beach, that side of the beach down for the day, or for the morning anyway.
Okay, so can I please ask the board I need to establish consensus on that. Who is following Brian? Or should we let you?
What you can do, here's another alternative, that, I don't think 2 weeks is gonna make a lot of difference with the LBYC between when the next time this board meets. The idea of saying you can give them clearances if you're comfortable with on the temporary fencing for their activities
Yes.
without construction. And
Okay.
then in the meantime, I can work with the Park District and LBYC to bring a schedule
Okay.
to see if there's a reasonable, and you can revisit this.
That makes sense.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay. It is a, with no more questions, it is a roll call vote. It is a roll call vote. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee Wright. Oh, gosh, I'm out. Hatch. Sorry, Trustee Hatch. Trustee Renner.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee Elshmaz.
Aye.
Sorry.
It is becoming a long meeting. Yeah. We did 23, next is 24, a resolution regarding village work within the limit of the right-of-way of the Illinois Department of Transportation. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved?
Second?
Thank you. The Village of Lake Bluff operates and maintains certain improvements within the Illinois Department of Transportation right-of-way within the village. Examples of village operations in state right-of-way includes mowing grass along state roads, maintaining sidewalks and bike paths, and operating village-owned water and sewer systems. The village was recently received a letter from IDOT stating the resolution allowing the village to perform work in state right-of-way has expired, and the village is not permitted to perform work until a new resolution is passed. Village records show that last such resolution was passed in 2003 and expired in 2004. The attached resolution mirrors the previous resolutions and will allow the village to work in IDOT right-of-way until the end of 2027. Village staff recommends approval of this agreement. We have been mowing illegally, people, okay?
Okay. Somebody had to.
Yes, absolutely. Questions to Drew?
Four is animal. It's supposed to be 20.
This
It
makes
is
sense.
a roll call vote. Clerk,
Do you have
please
a
call.
motion? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was Ryder and Renner.
Thank you.
Can I please have a roll call vote? Clerk?
Yes, Trustee Hatch.
Aye.
Trustee Renner.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee Elshmaz.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
So that we can resume lawful
Back to
mowing.
right where we were for the last 20 years.
Exactly. Next and last is a resolution authorizing an animal rabies control agreement by and between the Village of Lake Bluff and the Lake County Health Department and Community Health Center. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. The village has partnered with the Lake County Health Department and Community Health Center to provide animal and rabies control services since January 20th, 1991. As long as with long-standing agreements, periodic updates are necessary. The most recent amendment occurred in August 2021. On March 10, 2026, the Lake County Board approved revisions to the scope of services and associated fees. Key changes include number one, after-hour wildlife services. After-hour response is now limited to the removal of live bats from inside residences. All other wildlife-related calls will be referred to licensed private operators at the homeowner expense. Number two, animal impoundment. Found animals must be held locally for a minimum of 24 hours and posted on local social media prior to transfer to the county. Intake will be subject to available capacity, and the county may decline animals during high-volume periods, such as court-related or hoarding cases. Number three, fee adjustments. A service visit fee will apply to all municipal service requests, including animal pickups. This fee is waived for injured stray animals transported directly for emergency care. A $150 disposal fee will be charged for unclaimed animals, including wildlife, excluding small caged pets. And last, municipality will be responsible for all costs associated with animals involved in court proceedings. Historically, the village utilization of these services has been limited, with annual costs typically not exceeding $500. Staff does not anticipate any significant operational or financial impact as a result of these changes. I do appreciate the village putting on Facebook finding dogs and having a picture of a dog in the back of a police car. Love that.
So we would do that before hold them before turning over to Lake County, is that the process? And I assume, I don't assume the village has it, but I assume the county has a microchip scanner.
So we do have a scanner available to us in the station.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll also take them over to Knollwood Animal Hospital. They'll try it there as well.
Okay.
Then other times we even work with, like recently, the county health animal control came out and helped us with one that was actually not from our area. So
So if my dog got out, he has a microchip, and you'd call me, hey, we found you.
and then we try to check it back, yeah. And if for some reason like we found chip and we can't track right away, we obviously get them over to temporary holding until we try to get them back home.
Okay.
How long do you have a dog usually?
It depends. A lot of times it's not that long because folks will be like, "Oh, the community's awesome." They're usually like,
Yeah,
"That's that's Billy," or "That's
Everybody jumps
Joey,"
on that
or,
real
That's sometimes it's or even if it's a few days, all of a sudden someone's like, "Or I'll adopt them," or "I'll take care of them," or "I'll keep them in the house," and people do that too.
Which our code allows.
Yes.
If you recall, when you weren't here, but we went through an exhaustive review of our animal regulations, and that was part of like the Lake Bluff approach, was that sometimes residents babysit animals that they find and helps us. And
Sure.
that's just how it's always operated, so that was how it was memorialized.
Yeah.
And you have a facility to host animals in your police department?
We do not. We do not house any animals. Those would go over to Knollwood Animal Hospital, or again, one of the other services, or to somebody's
Residents.
house.
To
Residents.
his office.
Okay.
The holding cell.
Hens, no cats.
No cats.
Awesome. Any more questions?
Sorry,
to
no
Mike?
offense.
Exactly.
I lost my dogs last summer. In about 5 minutes, they were viewed. They were located on the other side of the village. They go very fast. And about 6 people called me, and I got notices on Facebook. And police department was involved. Said, "Well, just look at Facebook." And we found the dogs and our lair. So the system works.
We have the GPS collar on ours too. So when I'm traveling and my daughter says she walked the dog,
It's an added benefit.
Awesome. This is like Bluff people, okay? It is a roll call vote. Thank you, Matt.
Trustee Renner.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee El Shmaz.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee Hatch.
Thank you. And next, we have our trustee reports. Do any trustee wish to make a report tonight?
I'd love to make a report.
Go ahead, you first.
Mine's real short. I was late tonight to the meeting because I spent the early evening with a Cub Scout troop at Indian Trail Elementary School in Highland Park. They were focusing on voting and community service and specifically local government, and I was invited to hang out with them, and I felt very inspired by this young generation. They asked really remarkable questions. I had been prepped by the troop leader that these were rowdy boys that were going to not be focused. I'm very familiar with that vibe. But they were just so locked in and asked the most interesting questions and had a lot of ideas and suggestions for our deep tunnel project. And I promised one young man that I would bring them to the board. I said, come in and share your ideas because they are great. He told the group all about his his family's solution to flooding in their backyard. So I think the future is looking bright. We have lots of young men and women, young girls and boys who are excited about giving back to their community and understand the value of volunteerism. And it was a lovely way to spend the night. Not that,
You missed us.
Yeah, I did. I really did.
Thank you. And by the way, before you go on, we'll have this weekend 4 new Eagle Scouts in town.
Oh, yes.
4,
That's right.
wow.
And this is awesome. Troop 42 Lake Bluff, and we will deliver to each Eagle Scout a flag of the village of Lake Bluff.
That's great.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Because they are members of our community and they do an important job in civic duty for our community. Brian?
Real quick, and this is kind of more of an SEC item, but our meeting was delayed for quorum or postponed. Former village engineer George Russell had approached the SEC with an environmental concern about how trees are planted and maintained in the town. Specifically, you'll see sometimes these 2-foot mounds which cover the roots, and they're not supposed to be done. And he had come to the SEC, and we agreed to recommend that the village be involved in some sort of informational campaign to let residents know, don't bury your trees under a mound of chips. And he had just followed up with me and stopped by and said, he hasn't heard anything. So I just bring that up just as an item.
I saw something in the,
It was a newsletter.
We've been
In the
putting
newsletter.
the
Yeah.
village newsletter.
But we talked about tags or stickers or something, right?
George and I have been talks and working on the copy to get that ready to go.
Okay.
okay.
So, and we've been talking about who it goes to and how it's gonna be delivered, but he and I have been talking, and it's in my court to get back to him.
Okay, thank you.
I did notice it in the info.
Yeah, the news.
The
sure,
news.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any more reports?
I just want to clarify one thing. Earlier tonight, we were talking about the liquor ordinance update, and I was asked about tasting, and actually, it does permit a wee bit of tasting. So we'll get that, it seemed like the direction was remove that, and so we'll get that, when we bring it back, it'll have that gone.
Thank
A
you.
weep.
A wee bit.
It's
But yeah, how do we
fairly
quantify a week?
ill-defined.
All right, we do not have an executive session tonight, and so our last item is our adjournment. Can I please have a motion to adjourn tonight?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And we're adjourned.